Welcome to the Sport MVT Insider, a platform where we are unrelenting in covering women in sport and, of course, celebrating those achievements, whether they might be big or small as well. And today we are focusing on the sport of road running. We've got a lady who's done incredible things thus far in her long career. And of course, the one thing that truly stands out for me is that she's finished the Comrades Marathon on 2 occasions, and she's also the co-founder of the Pack and Road Running Enthusiast. Her name is Zonke Mthethwa. Zonke, how are you doing today?
Well, thanks, Aaron. And how are you?
I'm doing very, very well. Thank you so much for joining us on the Sport MVT Insider. I would like for us to start the conversation here. Who is Zonke outside of the world of road running?
Geez, so Zonke outside of the world of road running is an account executive. So I work in the tech space, and I've been in that space for about 3 years now. I've always been into business development. I love actually building things up from scratch. I love, planning long term, putting strategies together, putting plans together. So that kind of thing has always been very, key to me. And I think that's why I've always been involved in like projects on the side as well, because I love the idea of visualizing something and then bringing that thing to life. So that allows me to kind of, work on that and bring things to life that didn't exist previously. So yeah. That's me in a nutshell.
Absolutely beautiful. Now let's talk about the world of running. What inspired you to actually get into running? Because that's a large part of the work that you're doing at the moment.
Absolutely. It was, I got older and I realized that, as much as we party hard and we have a very active social life, you need to kind of find a balance somehow, I tried gym and gym just wasn't a thing for me. I just couldn't take to it. And I think it was down to discipline and also having a plan. I didn't have a plan when I went to gym, so I'd get lost. An hour would go by and I'd be like, what have I done with myself, and hence the results weren't coming as quickly as I would have liked them to. So a friend then invited me to one of the groups they started. So it was Grumpy Runners then. So I was like, okay, cool. I used to do running back in school like years ago, and I played netball for quite a while. So I knew I had it in me. So I was like, okay, cool. Let's give this a try and see how this goes. I joined. I was very on and off at the beginning, but like I soon got into it. I got into the flow. And I love the social side of it as well. It became more, more than just, the running aspect, but more meeting people, connecting with people, etc. And that motivated me to keep going. So that's basically how I got into running.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely beautiful. Now tell us about the transition from marathons to ultra marathons. How did that come about?
So the funny thing is, when I started running and people were like, yeah, you want to get into like, racing and you want to do a half and a full, I was like, yeah, I'm not quite there because 3Ks was so painful. But I think with time, because you get so used to it and you see what your body can do, your body starts responding. And all of a sudden you're like, okay, cool, let's see if I can push myself further, So I started doing my halves and then I started doing, the full marathon. And once I completed the full marathon, I was like, okay, cool, what's next? There is always that itch to say, okay, cool, like this was inconceivable at some point, and now here we are. So like, what else can I do? So it was that excitement and also like just an understanding to say, okay, cool, like how far can I push myself physically? How far can I push myself mentally? Like, what can this body do? So that's how I made the leap from, full marathons to ultras to say, okay, cool, like Zonke, are you up to this? And yeah.
Definitely. You talk about achievement there, and I would like to highlight the fact that you've done the Comrades Marathon and you've completed it on 2 occasions, but you've also ran 6 ultra marathons. What does this mean for you from an achievement point of view? And in terms of just being able to say, I'm incredibly proud of myself, what does that do for your confidence as well?
It does a lot. I always say like crossing the line for my first Comrades, I literally broke down in tears because I was like, hey, what were you thinking, but beyond that, what were you thinking? But like, look at what you did, you know what I'm saying? So it is quite a huge thing. And I guess we always put limitations on ourselves to say, okay, maybe I can do something. But like, I think, completing these courses or completing these races is a testament to say anything you put your mind to, you can do. I think there is this thinking around like running and being a certain caliber of runner in order to do certain things. And it's like, if you put the work in, if your mind is in the game, if you're committed to something, you can do it. And I think I apply that to my life as well. I think running, speaks to life and how we go through life, and it is a testament to I guess the many challenges we may face in life and how you show up to those challenges. So basically, if you are willing to see something through, you will. If you are willing to give your best, you will give your best, and ultimately your best is good enough, because you actually able to then achieve what you set out to. So yeah, it's been a lesson. Yeah, it's been a journey.
Definitely. You talk about lessons there, and I would like to ask you one very specific question is, you're somebody who loves running and you've already achieved so much already, but how do you deal with those mornings, early in the morning when it's incredibly cold and you don't want to run, your muscles are sore, and you're just feeling incredibly lazy? How do you deal with those moments?
Those are tough. And, I was going to touch on this to say, as much as Comrades was difficult, training was difficult, and more so over winter, because obviously it becomes a bit more difficult to actually wake up and get this done, right? But like, again, it's about setting your mind on the end goal to say, okay, cool, if I'm not putting the work in now, it's not going to happen. So would I rather fail at the end, or like take this on the chin and carry on going? It is hard. I won't lie. There are days where I literally had to kind of, psych myself up to say, calm, let's do this. You know what I mean? But remember why you're doing something. I think always coming back to your why helps. And that will be, what kind of, pushes you and motivates you to keep going on the days when you feel like you're spent, or you feel like you're not quite up to it, or like, yeah, today, not so much, yeah, it helps to remember why you're doing it, and why you're setting out on this course in the first place. So yeah.
Absolutely beautiful, because trust me, many of us have those days, and just to push through that barrier sometimes becomes a little bit difficult. I would love for us to talk about the fact that you are currently the co-founder and race producer of the Rundela 27. What exactly is Rundela 27, and what are you guys aiming to achieve with this amazing project?
So it was a celebration of Nelson Mandela's centenary, because it was his 100 years, or like it would have been his 100 years of life. So essentially, it was a way of just bringing people together. I think sports was at the core of, his message, and, the power of sports and actually bringing people together and unifying people, and bringing forth the idea and the reality of a rainbow nation, where it didn't matter where you come from, it didn't matter what your background was, it doesn't matter what your race is, but, through sports, we all found a love for this one thing, and this thing was unifying people. So it was a celebration of that. And beyond that, it's very important for us to not only be participants in events, but to also then start curating events, because sometimes you go to a race and you see, okay, cool, this is great, but I think we could tweak this and that, and I think it would speak to us. And I think the face of running is becoming very younger as well. So we need young people in the room speaking to what those experiences need to look like and how they need to be shaped. And beyond that, more women in the room, because you go into these spaces and there aren't a lot of us, So I think we need to be very intentional to say, okay, cool, as much as we are participants and as much as we are kind of contributing to the monetary side of running, how do we play a part in the back end to ensure that we are curating the events that we want to kind of attend, that we are keeping running exciting, So that was a great opportunity, and I think something that we wanted to bring forth. So yeah, that was basically Rundela in a nutshell. Yeah.
You talk about making running exciting, and the one thing that I would like to highlight is the pack. Tell us a little bit more about this incredibly special venture that you're currently working on, as well as some of the partners and sponsors that are involved in keeping this amazing project going.
Yeah, so the pack was, founded off the necessity of creating a safe space for women to actually run, and to create a safe and inclusive space. I think the very key thing is sometimes when you go into, running communities or running crews or whatever the case may be, there is an element of intimidation where people feel like maybe I'm too slow, or like maybe I don't know enough about running, because it is an educational piece as well, where people need to understand what their pace is, etc. So it was very important for us to create a space where we could, provide people with the tools that they need, but also provide them with a space in which they can run. I think we are all very aware of, the nature of South Africa and it not being the safest space or the safest place for women. So that was a very key thing to say, if women don't need to be running by themselves, they shouldn't be. So like, let's create a space where we can all meet up, cater to women, runners of different abilities. So they feel they can come to the space and run. We can all get together after the run, have a catch up, talk about life, talk about experiences, talk about our shared experiences as well. I think sometimes it always helps to have, someone lend an ear to say, okay, cool, maybe I'm going through something. Is anyone going through something similar, or have you, and can you provide me with some, some advice, etc. It is an opportunity for us to network as well. So I think the pack was founded on running, but I think it's become way more than just that. It's a place for us to kind of pour into ourselves and to pour into each other, to motivate each other, to inspire one another. So it's great in that sense. And I think it's been awesome that we've been able to find partners who believe in our shared vision. So Nike's been very instrumental. I think a month into us launching, we actually had a Nike campaign where they were like, we love this idea, like we want to be a part of this, we want to support this. We had an international campaign with them that is actually live on the Nike running page still. So that was pretty cool. And like people like V-Day Cafe that have come on board to say, let's, help you facilitate conversations, whether we can help with, providing coffee or whatever the case may be. They've been very instrumental in that sense. We've partnered with Sneaker Shack as well, who have come on board to say, like, if you are running or having, a run, how can we elevate those runs for you? So it's been really great to have people, from partners from different, verticals, the different, streams come in to say, okay, cool, we see what you're doing, we believe in what you're doing. How can we help you do that better? So yeah, that's been really great.
Oh, absolutely amazing. Tell me, given the amazing work that you're currently doing at the moment, what does the future of road running look like in South Africa, specifically for those ladies that you talk about?
I'd love for us to get to a point where races are more woman friendly, and I speak to this from an ablution perspective. Where for us, I know there are toilets on the route or whatever the case may be, but it does become tricky when there aren't. It's not like we don't have the luxury of just going anywhere. You know what I mean? So I think people just need to kind of think outside of the box and think about those little things to say, okay, cool, how can we cater to female runners in a better way? Or to women runners in a better way. And those are the kind of conversations that I want to kind of bring to the table to say, okay, cool, we are, contributing to the sports in such a large way. I mean, from a social running perspective, women are a large number of the participants when you're looking at the 5K distances, etc. So how can we tailor make these experiences to make sure that women are getting what they need out of it? So I think that's the primary thing for me. I don't know if people are thinking about that on a larger scale, but I'd love to bring that conversation to the table for sure.
You're locked onto the Sport MVT Insider, a podcast for unrelenting coverage of women in sport. I absolutely love diving deeper into the journeys of our athletes, coaches, and administrators to get to know them a little bit better than we do. Coming up this Wednesday is an interesting round of quick fire questions, a great opportunity for some good laughs and some great banter. Keep it locked onto Sport MVT, where we celebrate our women in sport.